Welcome to AI Force Training. I'm your host, Mark Good, and a quick shout out to our newest GPT specialist, Keegan, Trenton, and Stuart. Can't wait to see where you go next on your AI journey. This week, Salesforce announced that they were training their own language model. This is a 7 billion parameter language model called XGen 7B with 8,000 tokens of sequence length. They sent this trained model through some natural language processing benchmarks. And what they say here in the article is that XGen achieves comparable or better results when compared with state-of-the-art open source language models. So this is like Llama or Red Pajama. Gotta love these names. So state-of-the-art benchmarks for these language models, and XGen was actually comparable. They mentioned that it had strong results in both text and code, which is important for Apex. They talked about the training costs being $150,000 for 1 trillion tokens, and they used Google Cloud Services in order to process that training. It looks like they're pretty proud of their 8K context window here. It says that a large context window allows the LLM to look at customer data. So it makes sense that Salesforce is looking to train their own language model with a large window, a lot like OpenAI has, in order to make sure that they can process all the customer data that they're looking for. Think about ChatGPT. Think about that 4K text window that you have when you're using GPT 3.5 and how it's limiting. And so if you can open up that window, it makes it a little bit bigger and you can actually get more prompts into your language model. In the article, I thought it was really interesting. They called out the data sets that they used for their pre-training for their data. They called out different sources like GitHub, books, Stack Exchange, Wikipedia. So these were all data sources that were, it looks like most of them from Red Pajama, sourced from an open source Llama model. Choosing your data set is really crucial for training your language model, but I guess they had some confidence in the Llama model, and so they used a similar training data set in order to train their own Gen X model. This one caught my attention when they mentioned using OpenAI's tick token for tokenizing the data. It's always interesting to me when you use a competitor's services in order to tackle what you need done, but that's the thing. Language models are so expensive to train, and there's a very limited number of people who know how to do this. So tapping into OpenAI's resources is really intelligent on Salesforce part. I'll include a link in the description because you can actually look through all of the benchmarking tests that were performed on the XGen versus the other open source models like OpenLlama, MPT7B. But what caught my attention was at the end of all of this information, under summarization, there's this big note on potential risks. They mentioned, and I blew this up, it's not this big in the actual article, but finally, despite our effort in addressing these risks of biases and toxicity and hallucinations, both in pre-training and fine-tuning stages, like other language models, the responses are not free from such limitations. So the bottom line is here is that when you're dealing with language models, because you're dealing with the data is baked, and I know Salesforce wants to work really hard to make sure that their model tackles that as much as possible. It's a really challenging problem, and they call that out in the article here. I saw this nice post on LinkedIn from Michael Leach. He actually went through and detailed out some more information about the article, but I highlighted some things here that I thought were interesting. He did mention that there was no mention in the article about RLHF. That's reinforcement learning with human feedback. This is the process that you use when you're ready to really fine-tune your language model, and you use human feedback in order to iterate over your training and just get much better results out of your language model. Here he mentioned that OpenAI has a really robust model that used reinforcement learning with human feedback. I thought it was pretty clever that he noted that he didn't notice that in the article from Salesforce. Also, I thought this made a lot of sense. He said that it's really too early to conclude whether this XGen language model is going to be of any use for us yet. I think Salesforce is really trying to press forward with it based on what they put in this article, and that may end up being the final Salesforce language model that gets used. If you remember during AI Day, Mark Benioff and team talked about the language models and how Salesforce is going to be structured, that you can call different language models based on the language model that you think makes sense. It's going to be most useful for the business case. So this will be interesting to see if Salesforce is able to get to a good final model that they would recommend to customers to use for all the things that you'd want to use them for inside Salesforce. Salesforce announced something that I thought was really intriguing during the London World Tour, and that is the Prompt Studio. So it looks like Salesforce is gearing up to deliver this Prompt Studio where you can go in and create your own prompt templates, and there's a nice demo video.
All right, so here we are in Prompt Studio, and we can view any of the prompt templates that we've created and of course edit them. But let's create a new one. So right here, you can choose from the prompt template type and where you want it surfaced. We've done a lot of the heavy lifting for you, so this is pretty easy. So we can choose email so that we can help generate an email to send to your customers. Field population, so we can help generate content for a field, for example, a description. And sidebar, so we can surface actions to users, for example, which leads to focus on. Now again, it's all highly extensible, so you can surface them in Apex and in Flow. All right, let's choose email. And we're gonna go ahead and name this prompt template. So we're gonna write an outreach email, and we'll create a description for it as well. So next, we're gonna click create, and that's gonna take us right into the next step, where we're able to modify this prompt template to fit the needs of our business. So some simple things on the right-hand side here. We'll have configuration, language, style. You can even select your LLM provider.
There's some more details. She actually goes in and creates a prompt and then tries it out on the actual playground on the left-hand side, and then goes through and generates a response on the right-hand side. They do show that they're using that GPT 3.5 turbo model, and this looks really nice. It's got a great configuration. I think this is going to be really great if they deliver anything that looks remotely like this as a part of EinsteinGPT or that AI cloud package. One thing that really caught my attention is that she talked about it being extensible, meaning, and she used the two terms. She said in flows it's going to be available, and then it's also going to be available in Apex. And I think those are two really key important things out of this video. We're already talking about Flow GPT. We're already at AIForceTraining training on Flow GPT and how to infuse GPT inside of a flow. And so if Salesforce makes this prompt engineering, these prompt templates available for users to select inside of a flow, that's going to be a really important key addition for Flow GPT and for AI Salesforce professionals. So we're definitely looking forward to hearing more about this prompt studio, and I can't wait until Salesforce delivers that. Just a quick reminder, in case you haven't seen it yet, Salesforce at AI Day sort of announced this rollout plan, this sort of strategy for bringing the different things that they're promising for AI to the org. And so I just wanted to pull it up and let you take a look at it in case you weren't familiar with it. Get excited for some of these cool features to start rolling out. I see a lot of GAs in there that's generally available. So we should start getting access to these AI capabilities inside of our org. Don't forget to check out the 3-day Flow GPT challenge at AIForceTraining. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thanks for being an AI Force supporter. See you next time.